Greetings fellow ukuleleans, Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new ukulele tutorial. Today I'd like to go over a great old song called Anna, Go to Him. And that was by the Beatles from 1963. They had an album called Please Please Me that had lots of hits on it. I think my parents had that in their record collection. I saw the cover of Please Please Me just a little while ago, and I think I recognized that. That was in our living room way back when I was a kid. So it's a great song from the very early 60s, and it's before the Beatles kind of got into their more experimental phase and their kind of harder rock phase and introducing Indian music. This is when they were doing pretty straight ahead stuff that was traditionally minded. It was definitely rock and roll, and it was teenage music, but it kind of had some shades of stuff that came from the 50s before it, some of the pop that was around at the time, Peggy Lee and Paul Anka and people like that. So anyway, it's an interesting song. It's one of my favorite early Beatles songs. It's lesser known though. A lot of people don't know this one. So the chords are incredibly easy. Let's go over those first, and then we'll talk about that lick. The chords are C and A minor. Those are the main two chords. And da 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 da. And then it does this 4-chord progression: C, A minor, D minor, G7, back to C. And those chords are shorter. The first chords I described, C and A minor, were 4 beats apiece. But the quick change there is 2 beats apiece. C for 2, A minor for 2, D minor for 2, G7 for 2. So that's the fastest chord change in the whole tune. Strum-wise, that's, by the way, that's the verse. Strum-wise, you could do something very close to the calypso strum. Just the only change we need to make to our calypso strum is to emphasize the end of 2 and 4. Hit those, accent those a little bit harder. And that gives you more of that Latin feel that the Beatles get on this tune. They were very influenced by the music going on around them at the time, which in England and in the United States was, Latin music was very trendy at the time. There was a huge influence on pop music from both England and the United States. So we have this sort of Latin thing going on there with our calypso strum. Hitting that end of 2 hard and hitting 4 hard. A lot of girl group songs of the time that Phil Spector produced and other people had that kind of same Latin influence in that beat. And Then He Kissed Me being a great example of one of those songs that has that beat in it. So strum-wise, we go down, down, up, accent, down, down, up, accent on that up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. That's just one interpretation of it. Another thing I wanted to convey before we end up doing the lick is that you can do your A minor chord like this, and that's with your second finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and your pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string. And that gives you a different A minor chord. It's a lot easier to change from that A minor chord to change to it from C. And it's a smooth sound too, so not only is it a nice chord change, but it's a great sound. Okay, let's get into the lick a little bit before we talk about the bridge. The lick goes like this. You're strumming a C chord, and then you have to do a little picking. You're picking your G string and your A string very rapidly while holding a C chord. Hear that? And we go chromatically up on the G string, G, G sharp, A, open 1st fret, 2nd fret. And that leads to the A minor chord. You can strum that if you want. If you don't want to pick it, you could just go. Then you got to do this quick little thing. John Lennon sings this song. I'm not sure who did that guitar lick, if that was John Lennon or George Harrison, but that lick goes first fret, second fret, first fret, second fret, like that. You can strum that too. You don't have to necessarily pick. You do have to pick this part. That just isn't strummable. You have to bring out those voices by picking them. But the rest of it you can strum. All that can be played with the thumb, if you want to. So that's the lick, in case you need to know that. I will tab this out. It will be available on my Patreon. I will link to it below as usual. And you will have access to that lick if you want to see it all tabbed out. All right, let's skip over to the bridge. I did want to mention before they go to the bridge, the second ending of the verse, the way the verse ends before they go to the bridge, they use kind of a cha-cha rhythm, another Latin rhythm, and it goes like this. Cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, and that's on a C chord that they do that. So after they do their little cha-cha thing, changes to F. Dun, 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 dun. Here you really want to emphasize that Latin thing by hitting the end of 2 loud and 4 loud. Their guitars do that. Back to C, but now C7. This little trick I like to do is when you're going from a C to a C7, which many ukulele songs do, there is that chord in between. There's a C major 7 in between a C and a C7. I like to drop chromatically from C to C7 that way. It's just a nice little thing. Then we have F. Then they introduce D7 to the tune. And it ends on G. I like to actually throw in a G augmented there, even though the Beatles didn't. There's an instrumental guitar version going around out there where somebody plays this as a twangy guitar, electric guitar instrumental, and they throw a G augmented in there. I kind of like that flavor too. And so, if you don't want to, though, you could just do G at the end of the bridge. So again, the bridge was F, 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 back to C. Then that trick to get to C7, F, F. Here comes your D7. Which I think is a nice touch. The D7, that's up for grabs if you want to do a 2-finger D7, 2-0-2-0, that works. If you want to do the bar chord D7, 2-2-2-3, that also works. I probably did it one way one time and a different way the other time. I like to mix it up, but either D7 or both are fine. That's pretty much all the parts of the song. At the end, they just vamp on C to A minor 3 times. That's the whole song. Records were real short back then. Those little 45 records had only so many minutes on them, so they had to make their song short to fit on the record and sell lots of singles. That was the thing back then, was singles rather than LPs. But anyway, this song is a really easy one to learn. There's not a lot of hard chords in it. The hardest thing maybe is that lick, and I know you can learn that if you practice it. Friendly. So we just learned it in C. The Beatles performed it in D. You could capo at your 2nd fret if you wanted to play it just like we played it, but sound along with the Beatles. Or you can just play it in C, and it's extremely ukulele friendly. Okay, so that's the whole song, ukulele people. It's a simple one, very satisfying one. I will make tabs and song sheets available so you can see everything you need to see. And I'll put a link on Patreon to that. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos I put up so far. Always feel free to comment, feel free to suggest things, request things, comment and criticize, do whatever you want to do. Just let me know how you're feeling about these. Okay, ukulele people, you take care. Bye-bye.